Times bestselling author Jayne Ann Krentz about her brand new release, The Night Island, which was fabulous. It was so great to hear from so many of you who hadn't read her before, which was shocking to me because Jayne's been around and so popular for so long. So it's always fun when we have new recruits who get excited and go back and start reading some of the backlist of the author. I know many people went back and read the first book in this trilogy. This was book number 2. So I'm excited to hear about the third book too. We'll get to that and be able to ask about that. If you haven't had a chance to finish the story yet, don't worry. We're going to avoid spoilers. We are also leaving the recording on my website up an extra month because publishers have changed the way they release books, and they're releasing them. Before it was always the Tuesday before the month, and now they're releasing them at all different times. And so it's getting harder for us to coordinate our book boxes because books aren't coming out until mid-month. And then if we can't ship until then, it's that much closer to our book group meeting. So we are leaving up the form on my website that enables you to record the fact that you have read January's book for another month, so you don't have to stress about that either. And besides Jayne Ann Krentz tonight, we have another special guest. Her name is Alicia McCoy, and she actually did the artwork for our new book tracker. You can see that we have our list of books that we are reading this month on our book tracker cover, which we think is such a great improvement and makes it more specific to the year. And so we get to talk to her about whether she's a book lover, how she got into this. And so she'll be joining us at the end too. So she has an Etsy shop named In Every Line, which of course is apropos, right? So be sure to like and share this video for a chance to win $50 to the Brenda Novak store. It helps other people find it, and we appreciate you doing that for us. Also, comment where you're joining us from. I wanted to go over February's book box. We finally figured out what we were going to put in it. It was our 7th anniversary box, so it was so special to us that we couldn't come up with an idea that we thought was great enough, and we went back and forth, and then we finally landed on what we thought was just perfect, and that was the long sleeve t-shirt that I think Lex is going to throw up on the screen here so you can see it. The saying on it perfectly encapsulates how we feel about Brenda Novak's book group. It says, "Book people are my people." So it's been wonderful. We've had so many people that are eager to get one of these. Make sure, if you haven't given us your size already, if you're a subscriber or you already bought this box, if you buy it now, there's a place to put your size. But if you've already done it in the past when there wasn't one, make sure that you visit the link that I'm going to put in the comments so that you can give us your size. There are measurements there that make it easier. And it's even probably the most foolproof way to do it is to lay out one of your favorite shirts and measure it that way. So you can measure across the bust, an inch down from the armholes, and the top to bottom, clear to the bottom of the hem in back. So that will help you make sure that you get the right size, because we definitely want that to go out. And we feel like, let me see, the safest way to measure a shirt is to lay it out flat. Chest is measured across the chest 1 inch below armhole, and the length is measured from high point shoulder to finished hem at back. So in case I said that wrong, I wanted to make sure I said it exactly right so we can get the right sizes in there. Cynthia Van Camp in our book group said that she lives in Florida and never wears a long sleeve t-shirt, which was shocking to me because I live in California and it gets cold even here. I love long sleeve t-shirts. But it gave us an idea where we decided that we will try and make both available. So if you email store@brendanovak.com right away tonight, then it'll let us know for purposes of inventory how many people want to trade out their short sleeved for a long sleeved, or rather their long sleeved for a short sleeve. And some people may want both. It'll be fun to have one for summer and for winter. So we need to get our inventory right on that, though. Inventory is always the greatest challenge when you're dealing with as many boxes as we do a month. 1,000 of anything may not sound like a lot, but when you add several items to the box, turns out to be quite a bit. So anyway, in the February book box, we are also going to have the newest hardcover release from Susan Elizabeth Phillips, who has been one of my favorite authors for years. I remember reading her before I was even published. One of my all-time favorites of hers is Heaven, Texas. I don't know that there could be a better hero than the hero that she had in there, unless it's Nobody's Baby But Mine. I also loved that one. I love them all. And so I'm excited to see what she's come up with. Simply the Best is the title of her new book, and it is part of her Chicago Bears series. So she's going back to some of her sports romance. So she's busy signing book plates for our February box. And for those of you who don't know what to do with a book plate, it just turns a book that's not an autographed book into an autographed book. It's a sticker. You turn it over, peel off the back, and you put it right on the title page, and then you have an autographed copy. So she is working hard on those for us. We will have the hardcover. We'll have the long sleeve t-shirt or short sleeve if you opt for that. We will have a good treat in this one. It's going to be s'mores in a jar, which is, I love s'mores. We're trying to bring kind of that fun vibe of summer around a bonfire into this really, really cold winter. I think a lot of us are ready for spring already. It's been such a rough winter. And then, of course, we will have a surprise item as well. So February's boxes are selling like crazy. So if you want one, make sure you get one and that you also give us your size if you already have one. As a bonus, we wanted to do our special subscriber thank you gift in this box. And it's going to be a neat tasting experience. So if you're a subscriber, and the reason why we thank our subscribers so often and try and do extra things for them is because they are what really make everything that we do in Book Group possible. It's what helps us source all of our inventory and everything. So anyway, they're critical to the success of everything we do. So even though we offer boxes individually, our subscribers are a huge help. So we like to give them a thank you. And what we're going to do with this one is, this is a flavor experience using something called miracle berries. And I had never heard of them until Alexa and Vinny told me about them. And they sound like they're going to be a blast. So it's from M Berry. And what they are is a certain berry native to Africa. And it coats the taste receptors on your tongue so that you can't taste bitter or sour, and it makes everything really sweet. So we thought it would be fun to put a little like kit in for our subscribers with like a lemon and dark chocolate, Sour Patch Kids, vinegar, and salt and vinegar chips, and maybe a few other things. And we will taste them all together. You'll get 2 tablets. So that's not the actual berry you're getting, but you're getting the berry in tablet form. You'll get 2 so that you can invite a friend. And we'll have Susan Elizabeth Phillips on with us, who is a hoot. And I just think it's going to be so funny. This is, it doesn't last forever. It only lasts for an hour where it changes your taste buds. So nothing to be fearful of, but it's just going to be a really fun, kind of zany experience. So anyway, if you want to become one of our subscribers, sign up today and you'll get that extra subscriber gift. If you sign up this late, though, we do ask that you stay subscribed for at least 2 months before canceling. So that definitely check that out, because we have also added some really cool perks for our subscribers that we haven't had previously. So for instance, you save $2 a box. If you're a monthly subscriber, you save $4 a box if you're an annual subscriber. So there's that. You're also guaranteed to get a box. So we've had many months where we've run out of boxes early, and that will make sure that you're on the list and that you get one. If you're a subscriber, you also are going to get 10% off all of your other purchases outside your box subscription on the Brenda Novak store. So like if you want to buy a box for a girlfriend's birthday or a book buddy's gift or a mug, then you can get 10% off on those items. Megan is working on, my other daughter who is now working with us, she is working on individual coupons for this that we will get out, but they're going to take a little bit of time. So if you want to order something before then, just email store@brendanovak.com and Jennifer will make that happen. And also subscribers are added to my review crew, which means that you get a digital copy of my new releases at least a month early. Like we just sent out digital copies of The Messy Life of Jayne Tanner. And so the box subscribers are getting to read that now. And I can't wait to see what their reaction is to the final story in the new trilogy. Also, subscribers get invited to any after parties that we do. We did a few last year. We plan on doing more this year, like the one we're going to do tonight with Jayne Ann Krentz. Also, we now have a phone number for the store, which is going to make things so much easier for everybody. Before, we just didn't have the man hours to be able to give out, something like a number where people could just interrupt you at any time, because Alexa and I were busy working all the time. But now that we have Megan and Jennifer, we're going to make this happen. So the number is 916-539-1097. So you can text or call that number to get help with the store. So that's going to be much, I think good improvement in the future. Also for March's box, we have some fun things lined up. It will contain The Messy Life of Jayne Tanner. Like I just said, that's the last book in my Coyote Canyon trilogy. It will also contain something from the businesses of each of the heroines in this trilogy. So for instance, Tallulah's back in town, we had Tallulah's Dessert Diner. So there's going to be an item from Tallulah's Dessert Diner. And then in the Talk of Coyote Canyon, we had Jayne's, she owns a well drilling selling business. And so it was a little more challenging to figure out what we were going to do for Jayne's, but we had a blast coming up with the logos and what these items are going to be and how to package them. And then in the messy life of Jayne Tanner, Jayne owns Vintage by Jayne, which is a gift store downtown on Main Street. And so we, as a matter of fact, this is, I don't know if you can even see this, but this shows the logo that we came up with. It's probably hard to see. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a logo. It's very pretty and ornate. It says Vintage by Jayne. And we're going to be stamping the bags that the item from Jayne's store goes in by hand. We do this to save money and try and make what we do possible, but I think maybe we bit off a little more than we chew with that one. That's going to be crazy. We're going to have to get going on that. But anyway, so make sure that you sign up to get March's box too, because it's going to have these fun things, and it's going to be something that we can't wait to show you. We haven't revealed what these items are yet, but we just know that they are an item from each of the heroines' businesses. Also, I wanted to let everybody know that I'm going to have a launch party for the Messy Life of Jayne Tanner. It's going to be here locally in Sacramento. It's going to be Saturday, February 24th at 11 a.m. We decided to change things up because we wanted to do champagne for breakfast. I don't know if you can read this is etched on my glass. I had a brunch where we had these glasses. Everybody got one of these glasses. And so Alexa and I said, why don't we do something that's not at night, do something a little different, and we'll bring back our champagne for breakfast with chocolate covered strawberries. So watch for that. We'll be announcing tickets to that, and hope you can come. It's going to be at 11 o'clock, probably the Barnes & Noble in Roseville. I think that's who we're going to go with. And so hopefully you'll be able to join me for that. And it'll be not a rainy day, but a nice sunny day. Then I want to make sure that you know that I have a 2-week tour for tourist season. I'm going to put together this tour. Alexa is helping me, and we're hoping to go to wherever there's a poll in book group. So if you guys want to put where you can come meet me, we will try and get to at least the 5 most popular stops so that we can sign books and have a little party together and get to see book group members again. So now I'm going to pick 3 live viewers to win a $10 gift card to the Brenda Novak store. And those winners are, Lexi's going to help me do that. Let's see. Okay. The $10 gift card winners are going to be Marlene Hustet. So thank you for joining us live. Susan Buffa-Nickel and Emily Davis. It looks like we also have a lot of other regulars here. It's so fun to see Carolyn Painter, Cynthia Davis Van Camp. Thanks for joining us. Judy Holland Hogan, Brenda Moninger. Let's see. Melanie Borelli, Vicki Schneider Warren. Thanks for coming. It's always so fun to get together and to be able to talk books once again. So for those of you who are new, we've had quite a few new members join lately, which has been really exciting. We want to welcome you, let you know that each month we choose a read that we read together, and then we interview the author of that book for the book group meeting on the last Thursday of the month. And it's always at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And tonight, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be talking with Jayne Ann Krentz and talking about her book, The Night Island, which was such a good read. I loved this. And I know many of you are diving into it and in the middle of it or have finished it and enjoyed it as well. Jayne is a New York Times bestselling author of a string of books. She has written many, many titles I've loved. I haven't read the Jane Castle ones, but I've read a lot of Amanda Quick and I've read a lot of Jayne Ann Krentz, and she has been one of my favorites for years as well. She writes under 3 pseudonyms. So Jayne Ann Krentz is the contemporary romantic suspense. She does Jane Castle, which is her paranormal futuristic romantic suspense. And then she does Amanda Quick, which is her historical romantic suspense. So welcome to Jayne, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited because, as it turns out, Brenda Novak is one of my favorite authors.
Oh,
and in fact, I have just finished Tallulah's Back in Town and The Talk of Coyote Canyon. And I am looking forward to The Messy Life.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. That's so sweet. So nice of you.
You do such what I got to gush a little. Give me a minute here. I just want to say that nobody handles the cast of characters that a small town and a family throws up better than you do. And one of the things I really love about your books is that everybody learns something. Everybody gets somewhere, if you know, they evolve or something.
Yeah, I overcome that challenge. That's what I've always loved about yours too, though. I really feel like you create characters that feel very real to me and somebody that I can relate to. It's not sometimes I feel like the quirky character thing got carried away a little bit with I don't know if you know what I mean, but where they
Yeah.
got a little too quirky, at least for me, and I couldn't relate anymore. And so I've never had that trouble with your books. Like I just love to be able to dive in. And even the paranormal part of them always reads so true to me. Like I can actually expand my mind to do that, and I'm not a paranormal reader. Typically, you're one of the exceptions. And so I really feel like that's a gift that you bring to readers that I think other people who haven't read you before are discovering you with this book.
Well, I do worry that people will be a little put off by the word paranormal because a lot of people draw the line. They either read it or they don't.
Yes.
And so for clarification, I would just like to point out that for me, the paranormal is the psychic thing. And I don't do the supernatural. So if you're looking for vampires and werewolves and shapeshifters, that ain't me. I can read them and love them, but I can't write it. It's not my story.
Well, that's what I love about yours, though, is they are within my realm of, I don't know if I want to say believability, because a vampire can too. It can be fun. I don't read them as often, but these almost read like they're not paranormal. You believe it. It's just part of the real world. So
I think the secret is that for me, the psychic stuff is just one step beyond intuition.
yeah.
And everybody's got that or thinks they have it. And so I think it makes it easier to slide into that one step beyond, because you ask anybody, and first of all, you ask anybody if they ever had a psychic experience, a surprising number of people will say yes.
Yeah.
And it usually translates as, I knew something was wrong, or I knew she shouldn't have married him, or just some kind of gut feeling that we don't really have a good name for. And intuition is what we settle on.
Right.
So it's surprising how many people will tell you in their lifetime they've had something like that. So that's what I'm playing on with my stories.
Well, I had never had anybody read tarot cards for me. I've never visited a psychic or anything, but we were at a New Year's party and there was a tarot card reader there. And I'm like, just for the heck of it, for fun. I sat down, and the very first thing she told me about myself she didn't even know my name, anything. I was so dead on that I have to say, I mean, my jaw did sort of drop. She did meander from there kind of in the wrong direction. So it wasn't all something that I'm like, okay, taking notes. But the very first thing she said to me, I'm thinking, how would she know that just from having me sit down? And it was so dead on. So,
It's probably, realistically speaking, it's probably the ability to read body language. And even the people who do it at the fairs will tell you, all they have to do is look at your clothes and they can tell you.
Oh, really? Well, maybe that's true. I'm trying to think what I was wearing. The one thing what she told me was, she goes, you are very disciplined. And I thought, that's true. I actually am. I mean, that's how I drive my life. Like I have to make sure I've worked out every day. I have to make sure I get my pages done. Like sometimes I worry I'm too regimented. You know what I mean? Like relax, just let it flow, because I'm so driven and so disciplined. And so I just thought that was such a strange thing. She would hit on that of all things. So I look back and think, what about what I was wearing or how I carried myself, gave me away. I don't know, but it was pretty funny. I remember when I had you in November come on when we announced our book group schedule for this year. And I told you I was going to be going to Nicaragua. It was the perfect place to read your book. There was a hammock there with a view of the beach, and I just got to lay there for hours and immerse myself in your world. And it was really the best experience. So it was fun to get away, unplugged, and just be able to read for pleasure.
Funny you should say unplugged.
Yeah.
Because in the story, the plot hinges on the fact that my hero and heroine end up signing up for the unplugged experience, which basically means no tech, That's
what I loved about it. And it probably made things easier for you as a writer to be able to build suspense without some of that kind of giving things away. It's so easy now. At least I run into that with some of my suspense stuff. I think, but they could just text or call right away. How do I get rid of this phone? Oh, the battery's gone. Or, you always have to come away, figure out a way around it. But
I think it might explain the rise of what we're seeing, a lot of the Gothic novels right now, various. And I think the appeal is that the setting is always isolated. Somehow you lose electricity, or you lose the lights, you lose you can't get in touch with the authorities. And so you're trapped in the the isolated location. And those books are hugely popular. And I think that's part of the reason, because
Yeah.
that takes us right back to our primal fear.
Right.
And that's, you want that kind of emotion in a suspense story. So
Well, it definitely enhanced it here. I thought that was a brilliant way to go. And when we had you in November briefly too, we did. You and I have to write young characters sometimes, so we kind of tested ourselves. Or Alexa thought it would be funny to test us on our Gen Z slang, and we both.
we failed. I failed so bad.
I didn't do any better. So she thought that it would be fun to try millennial slang tonight. So are you up for that?
Why not? What could go wrong?
Okay, we'll try again. We'll see if we do better with millennial. And I think Thad, my son, no, he can't make it. So I guess it's going to be Alexa giving us the test. Okay, are you ready, Lex?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wish she would have given me a precursor so that I could, you know.
The tension builds.
Totes?
Yeah, totes. What do you think?
Totes. You mean like the purse?
I think she means like totally. No, like totes. That's what I would guess. Like
I would say a really big purse. That's fun.
what is
You
it?
got it right. It's totally.
I
it's
did?
abbreviated form, totally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so totes.
You're hip. You're
I
hip.
thought just because you didn't give anything above it, like an article. You know, what I mean, just totes. Like people will say, like exactly,
Yeah,
or
I got it.
totes, totally,
Mhm.
yeah.
Totally. Okay. We got it. I got it. Okay, I'm ready.
Remember to guess along with us in the comments. Bay.
Bay.
Bay. Like water? Bay?
That's how she's saying it, but I suspect that it is not as on the nose as that. Well, my other daughter has a store called Little Baby, and so Bay might be like, "Hey, babe, my babe." That's a bad guess.
I give up on that one.
Oh, that was right. Oh, I got
You
that.
are good. You are good at this.
Your significant other, or you can, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I slaughtered that one. She said, "It's your significant other." Could you hear that, Jane? It's
No.
your babe.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll keep
No,
that in mind.
got it. How do you spell it? BAE?
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's BAE. So I got it from Megan.
I've never put that one together. No.
Okay.
I wouldn't have without Megan.
That is trying to join us.
Oh, Thad's trying to join us. Oh, you'll get to see my son. Let's see if we can bring him on.
All right, the next one is basic.
Basic.
Basic. Basic training.
Like, that's basic. Like, that's
I mean,
obvious. That's easily understood.
Yeah, I would go with that. I would go with that too. It's just basic. It's just elementary, my dear Watson.
There you go. That's saying it right, I think. Right?
It's
No.
a disparaging way to characterize a person, usually a woman, who adheres to stale, overused trends.
Oh, no, I
Basic.
guess we both that one.
Basic girl, yeah.
I thought since we were in agreement, we might have gotten that one.
We're not even close on this one.
All right, the next one is flex.
Oh, I
I
think
didn't catch it. What?
flex.
Flex.
Yeah.
As in flexible. Okay.
Hey, good boy.
Hello.
Hi, honey. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Nice to
Good.
see you.
Yeah,
This is
nice to
Jayne
see
Ann
ya.
Krentz, New York Times bestseller. You've seen her books around the house for years, all the time you were growing up.
Yeah.
And I am failing the language test badly here. This is really embarrassing.
We're working on flex right now. So if you're going to flex on somebody, you're going to show them your what's what. Like if you're playing sports and you dunk it on them, that's flexing on them.
I'd go with that one. So,
Yeah?
showing off the muscle.
Yeah. What do you think? Did we get it right, Thad?
No.
Close, but it's more of a thing. It's like you're flexing on them with like you have a lot of money, you know.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Show
like,
it.
like,
It's
you-
like-
pulling up in a Lamborghini is a big flex. You know, like
Okay,
drive-
that replaces bling. That's the new bling, maybe.
exactly. Yes.
Okay. Got you. All righty. Do we have another one?
Oh, yeah. Next one is salty.
Salty. She gave us this one for the other one, but it didn't mean what I thought. And I think I got it right for the millennial meaning. Let me remember. Do you remember salty?
No.
That's like you're irritated, you're salty, you're
Yeah.
annoyed.
That's kind of an old-fashioned meaning, though. Salty language, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how they use it. Like, don't be so, or my son will say to me like, oh, you're so salty when he's teasing me. Like I'm so like grumpy.
Grumpy.
Right?
Okay. No, I can see the negative right now. It failed again. Oh my God.
No, I think you guys got it.
Ooh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One for us. One for us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or one for the old ladies.
Yep, you're salty. You're still upset about it. You're upset about, it's just, upset about something.
Okay.
You're salty about it.
Okay, I get that. That actually fits, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you a millennial, Thad? Are you a millennial?
No, I'm an in-betweener. I came out with a term. I think I'm a zillennial.
Oh,
I think is what they call it, because I'm in between millennial and Gen Z.
okay. Well, that's like
Yeah.
me. I'm not a baby boomer, but I don't know what the next one is. I think I'm in between there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right. What's the next word?
Swerve.
Oh, that's a hard one. Did you hear it, Jane? It's swerve.
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 Just change your mind in a hurry. I don't know.
or like you're throwing somebody a curveball.
Yeah. That's how I
You're
would.
swerving. Is that right, Thad?
No, it's so. I mean, people use it. This one a little bit like it depends on who's using it, but when you swerve someone, you like deny their them making a like not coming onto you, but like making. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a guy comes up to you at a bar and you say, "No, I'm good," and walk away. Like
That's a swerve.
Okay,
So it's shutting somebody down who's hitting on you.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, but it doesn't have to always be like hitting on you. It can just be like kind of anything where you're just like, nope, not today.
Not having it.
You know what?
Yeah.
Those of us who grew up on Regency romance, the term would have been the cut direct.
Oh yes, so it's similar to that. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one.
We should do Regency next time. Jane would kill it. Slaughter me.
The next one is on fleek.
On fleek. That's
on
my
what?
first ones. On fleek. Is it FLEEK?
Mhm.
On fleek.
That
Wow.
one, I'll leave that one to you. I have absolutely no clue.
I don't think I've ever heard that one before. He's like on point.
Fleek.
Like
Mom, you're right on it. It is like girls will say like my eyebrows are on fleek, so they are on point, like they're ready to go. They're perfect.
Well, then I got very lucky because I pulled that one out of a hat. I had no idea.
That was good.
Nice work. Nice work.
The next one is TBH.
TBH. TBH. So instead of to be determined, to be heard? I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
I think that's not good enough. We need something more flashy.
More flashy.
But I can't put it together because all I can think of is TBD. It's just
Yeah,
coming back
to be
that.
determined. That's where I'm going to. TBH.
Yeah.
The first three letters of the H are HON. That's the first three letters of that word.
To be honored?
To be honorable.
Nope.
What is it?
Honest. To be honest.
Oh.
So they'll say TBH and then they'll go off and write a whole
Got it.
something to follow, but it's like to be
That's a
honest.
precursor to like when you want to tell somebody to be honest, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't have to spell it out. You can just.
Got you. A lot of those acronyms escape me because people are using them all the time because they text so much. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Like because threw me for a long time. The BC because.
oh yeah, yeah. And even I remember like Dear Hubby I caught on pretty soon, but then they had these ones for the kind of the rest of the family that went through, and I was like, yeah, I
SILLIS.
yes, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have two more. The
Two
next
more.
one is slaps.
Slaps.
Mhm.
That slaps like that.
Yeah.
That's
That's where I go with it.
That's awesome.
That
Slaps.
works. That hit home or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Thad? Did we get it?
Yeah, you nailed it. You know, it's mainly for like food or drink. Like if you have a really good drink or like these buffalo wings slap. Like
Okay.
they're delicious. Like this beer slaps.
That one I get. That one kind of feels right too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think people are going to look at me weird if I ever try and say that to them.
You might not pull it off very well, Mom.
This Martinelli's slaps.
The last one is shade.
Shade?
Mhm.
Oh, I know that one. Do you know that one, Jane?
Shade,
Shade.
like throw some shade.
Yep. Like throw some shade at somebody.
Yeah, that one I've seen around enough that I've.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you're kind of not giving them a positive, you're throwing shade their way, making it, saying not so nice things about them. Is that right, Thad?
Nailed it.
Okay.
I think the reason that one we noticed, I've seen that actually in like newspapers and stuff like that. It's common enough that
It's
I've run.
crossing lines, even into the baby boomer.
Yeah, I think that's becoming a word or a phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, Thaddy. It was fun to have you play the game with us and teach us.
Nice to meet you.
Meanings.
Anytime.
Yeah, especially on his way home from work. You're losing light. It's getting dark there.
Yeah. Well, my work meeting ran late, and I've been at it since right after 6 a.m. So long day.
Oh boy. All right. You get some sleep, baby.
All right. Love
Thanks
you.
for joining us.
Nice to meet
Love
you.
you. Bye. Okay, well, Jane, thank you for signing all those book plates for the book
My
box.
pleasure. My
Jane-
pleasure. I was thrilled to be asked to do them. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Nice of you. It's a lot of work. And she was even going to try and sign the actual books, but she lives in a high-rise apartment. And so we were thinking about the logistics of trying to deliver like literally a ton of books.
Yeah.
And then trying to haul them up to her apartment and sign them and package them and bring them up. So anyway, the book plates worked out just lovely. And it turns a book that's not signed into a signed book. And so we're really grateful. 1,000 of anything is hard to do. So that was hard enough. And now we get to give away our last Brenda Novak book box. I don't know if you guys can see it. But here it is. This is our last one. We sold out of these. And we always give away our last box via a post that we put in the book group where we ask people whether they're coming to RSVP and to leave a question for our guest author. And so then we choose the winner from that post and announce it at the meeting. And that winner is going to be Tiffany RN. Congratulations. We will tag all of our winners in a post after book group meeting is over in the next few days or a week or so. And then you can go on my website to the giveaway claim form and claim your prize, which is the only way we have to get out all the stuff we do. So look for that. And Jane, why don't you tell everybody how you got your start in writing?
Well, this goes back a while. I think basically I started for the reason a lot of writers start, which is it's not that you thought you could do it better than anybody else. It's that you wanted to tell the story your way.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have that compulsion, you probably never go down our road and turn back, save yourselves.
Yeah, I remember I was so excited to meet Jude Devereaux because I started writing after I had finished her book. I closed it. I loved it. Thought it was so wonderful. I needed to figure out something to do from home. And I thought, I wonder if I could do this. Well, fast forward, I get to meet her in person. And so I tell her to me this story that means so much, right? Because her book meant that much to me. And I think she took it wrong. I think she took it the way you first said, that I felt like I could do it because it was that easy. I said, no, not at all. I wasn't saying that, oh, if you can do it, I can too. It was just, I loved your book so much. I thought this is something I could do at home, but I'll never forget her reaction because I really expected her to be flattered. And instead she was like, oh, like if I had a dime for everybody, who tells me that. I was like, oh, whoops, I don't think I explained that correctly.
The dangers of meeting another author. Yeah. Well, no, I think it's a compulsion and it's a drive, and you either have it or you don't. It's a passion.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with wanting to tell the story your way. And to this day, I bet we both do the same thing in that we write first for ourselves.
Right.
We need the story to satisfy us first. And then we just have to hope like heck other people can get into it and share our world. And I think if they do share our worlds, it's because we and the readers share a lot of the same core values.
Yes.
The same sense of what's right and wrong, the same sense of honor, the same sense of just those basic core values. And not everybody does.
But I love that you said that, because I feel like the times that I struggle or when I get in my head and I'm trying to write to please others, and your self-editor gets so strong that you're thinking, oh, this isn't interesting. This isn't the perfect sentence. This isn't the perfect paragraph, the perfect story, whatever. And it tightens down on your creativity to the point the only way for me to ratchet that open again is to give myself the license, as you've said, to write a story that I love, that I would want to read. And then just hope that it resonates enough with enough other people that I can actually make a living doing this.
Well, I think that's our power. But that's also the weak point. I mean, that's where we're not going to be able to reach every reader. That's just all there is to it. But for those who do respond, I think they are responding on a really fundamental level to our core sense of what's right and wrong, our values, and they come through in our books. We can't help it, really. I mean, it's always going to be there in between the lines, I think.
Yeah, I think that's why readers feel when they meet you, they feel like they know you already, because in a way they do. You've already just spilled your heart and soul out on these pages that they've been reading. And even though it's not there maybe expressly, it's in the subtext, it's and they pick up on that, and they can feel that sort of closeness and sisterhood, like what you're talking about, where we are connected with the universal truths and our belief systems. And so, yeah. So tell us what your day-to-day is like. I think everybody's kind of curious about the life of an author, and especially when living downtown Seattle in a gorgeous high-rise. That sounds very romantic.
Well, the advantage of being in downtown Seattle in a high-rise is that we sold the car 20 years ago. I can't drive anymore. I got into what my brother's new car, and I didn't even know how to start the thing. I mean, there's no key. It's like it works entirely differently. I ended up at a stoplight, and then the engine goes quiet, and it's like, oh my God, I'm lost.
You think it's turned off? Yeah. Have you tried a Tesla?
Oh no,
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I got to get you in my Tesla.
Anyhow, back on track. I'm basically a morning person, and that's where my energy is. That's my high energy part of the day. So I'm up. We get up at 5, and
wow, that is early.
Yeah,
That's
early to
4 hours
bed.
before I go to bed.
Yeah, we're not up anymore for the New Year's fireworks. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah. So most of my actual hands-on writing will be in the morning, and then in the afternoons, it would be more like research or editing or making notes about where I'm going to go next. And in terms of plotting, I tend to start out with a sort of an idea, but I'm not a good advanced plotter. I get my best ideas when I'm actually working, when I'm actually writing. Do you find that's true? Is that you think you know where it's going to go, and then you're actually writing, and somehow you got a better idea?
Yeah. Or it just shuts down for me, and then I realize I'm going in the wrong direction. So writer's block is kind of a friend in a way, and let me know right away, that's not the right direction. And then I can retrench just a little and head in a different direction. And then suddenly I'm off and writing, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness I didn't follow that other road, any farther.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good way to put it, that writer's block is kind of that's a key to take a step back and see why it's not working.
Right.
I think the other thing that can happen with writer's block or cause writer's block, some version of it, um, is that you're suddenly very bored with where you're going.
Yes.
And if you're boring yourself, it's not a good sign. This is not a good sign since you're writing for yourself
Right.
first. Yeah.
Right.
And
So when did your first book come out, and what was the title of it?
It carries a copyright of 1979, but that was because I turned it in the very end of 79 and they copyrighted it before they published it in 1980. So 1980.
Wow, that's just amazing. To have the longevity that you've had in this business is actually a huge testament to your ability, because I mean, I've often said, you know, it's hard to get published. Well, nowadays you can self-publish, but back in the day it was really hard to get through those gates. But it's even harder to stay published. I mean, it's almost like publishing is a bucking bronco that's constantly trying to buck you off. So to have a career that spans 43 years now, that's just amazing. You must have started when you were so young. You must have started at 10, Jayne.
Yeah, well, as a child writer.
Child prodigy here.
Child prodigy. I look back, I can't believe it. It's been a ride. It's been a real ride. But for you too. I mean,
yeah,
we're both survivors in this business, and we both haven't lost our passion for it.
No, and that's the beautiful thing too, because I think you can get exhausted and you can end up feeling a little beat up depending on how your career goes, especially right now that so much is changing in publishing. And when I went on my tour and talked to so many different authors along the way, it was really eye-opening, some of the challenges that are out there, that when you're writing and just trying to fulfill your deadlines and you don't have RWA to talk with everybody anymore like we used to, then I kind of got out of the loop, and I just was shocked by all the changes that were happening in publishing.
Yes. So, yeah, it's been very dramatic, and it just doesn't stop. Now everybody's panicking over AI. I mean, and with good reason.
Yeah. I mean, I actually went to a writers' convention where they had a service called Pseudo Write, where they were showing writers how you could, you know, tailor it to write your books, and you could put in a paragraph and say, write this better, and it would spit out something else. And before that, I hadn't been as worried, because I just felt like, oh, creatives will always be safe. Computers can't be creative like we can. And I was actually shocked. I mean, it's not there yet, but I was stunned by the level of its skill, even at this nascent stage. So,
and how did it get that way? It got that way because they fed the AI machines our books.
Right. Yeah. Some of mine actually are on the list. I'm sure yours are too.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody I know has books on that list of stuff that they use to teach AI.
Wow. It's just shocking. So let's do a quick game of this or that, just to help people get to know you before we start asking some of our reader questions. So I will ask you this or that, and you just pick one and tell us why. Okay. So winter or summer?
Summer.
You like it warm.
Yeah, I like the sun. I like the light.
Yeah.
I live in Seattle, so that's a big time of the year for us. Seattle's pretty dark in the winter.
Yeah, it can be. It's beautiful up there, though. Just gorgeous. Yeah. A cozy day inside or brave the outdoors?
Inside. I'm kind of lazy that way.
Well, most readers and writers kind of prefer the inside sometimes. Game night or movie night?
Movie night.
Okay. Hot apple cider or a hot toddy?
Hot toddy. Anything with the alcohol. Whatever there's.
I've never had a hot toddy. I need to try one of those. Chili or soup?
Chili.
Do you make homemade chili?
Sometimes when I get feeling ambitious, yeah.
Yeah. My husband makes it. It's pretty good. S'mores or cookies?
Cookies.
What's your favorite cookie?
Probably snickerdoodles. And mostly because they go back to my childhood. That's okay. That was kind of my mom's.
Or something?
Yeah, it brings back memories. You know, it's one of those cookies that brings back memories. Yeah.
I must be the weirdest person on the planet. It's probably the only cookie I don't like. I love baked goods, and Alexa and Trey, two of my children, absolutely loved them growing up. But I don't know. They don't have frosting, so I kind of need the frosting.
That's true. They don't have frosting.
Yeah. What would you do if you weren't a writer, Jayne?
Probably go back to my other career. Well, now I'd be too old for it, but I was a librarian before I became a writer. Perfect. So, yeah.
Perfect. How long did you do that?
About 10 years.
Wow. That sounds. Right. And there in Seattle, or?
No, Oliver kind of, we moved around a lot. My first job was actually in a school library in the Virgin Islands. So,
Oh, wow. Very cool.
yeah,
You've had some really cool life experiences.
I think it comes from being married to an engineer who moves around a lot.
Oh, I didn't realize you were married to an engineer. Isn't SCP married to an engineer too?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you guys must have so much in common.
They are a type.
I guess this is going a little long and I need to get to the reader questions. So I'm going to
Yes,
skip down a little bit and we'll go with Linda Hewart wants to know what gave you the idea for the Night Island?
Well, it's the second book in a trilogy called The Lost Night Files. And The Lost Night Files is a podcast that three women fired up after all three of them walked into an old hotel and they have no memory of what happened to them until they woke up the next morning. But when they woke up, they all had psychic powers of one kind or another. And the podcast was found, no, the authorities wouldn't believe them. So the authorities blew them off, and now they've started the podcast as a kind of a cold case hunting thing. So it was the podcast thing that kind of got me going on it, I think. I just like that idea that if nobody else believes you, fire up a podcast and go looking for the answers. It's the new amateur detective, if you will, that has always been very popular in fiction.
Yeah, and podcasts have really grown in popularity too. I love that you chose that vehicle. I thought that was clever. Fran Vella wants to know, is Night Island a real place with a different name? Have you founded it on something? Kind of, I was thinking, I don't know, I was getting vibes of Shutter Island a little bit. You know what I mean? Just the whole.
Well, I kind of darkened it a bit, but the San Juan Islands, which is where I put my Night Island, are a chain of mountains or islands, here in the Pacific Northwest, and they're off the coast of Washington, and they are pretty much what I described, except not quite so much. So basically, they're not sunny tropical islands. These are heavy rock and trees, big dark trees kind of thing. So they're an eerie kind of island, and
right.
At least that's the way I went with it.
Yeah. No, yeah, it turned out really well. Maine Gemini wants to know, how long did it take you to write this book? Are you doing one a year now or more?
I usually spend about 3 months of actual hard writing and then another month of cleanup.
Okay.
So about 4 months.
So you sort of do the rough draft and then the edit after?
Yeah, I just plow through to get the story down first time through. The first draft is the hardest. Second draft is, now at least I know where I'm going.
Right.
And then I can write to the vision that I've got now.
Right.
And then the third one is, there's always cleanup. Timeline. This last one, the one I'm just working on now, I wrote in a huge timeline problem. I mean, they can't be in two places at once.
I've done that.
Yeah, and so now I've got to straighten that out. It's part of the process, as you know. Yeah.
Yes. I like the refinement process, though. I think that is kind of almost a cheat for me. Like, I'd rather do that than have to push into the dark and create the actual story. So sometimes I can polish too much, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of a procrastination technique. So.
I get you. Yeah. The stress of having to get the story down is gone. So, because it works, and now it's like, oh, I can play with it.
Exactly. Improve it, polish it, Yeah, exactly. Tracy Doris Black wants to know, have you always been interested in the paranormal, or did that begin with your ideas for writing this book?
I've always been interested in it, and I think it's because when I was in high school and I fell in love with science fiction. And I think, but what we call fantasy science fiction now, which wasn't a thing back in those days, it would the writers usually had things like telepathy and stuff like that. So that's probably where it came from. That and the fact that my mom was a believer in energy, if you will. Just
today we might call that metaphysical.
Yeah, she was into metaphysics before metaphysics was cool.
Yeah, that's funny. So Christina Grant says, do you believe in psychic abilities?
I think there's something there, but I'm not sure it goes beyond intuition.
Okay.
And I don't know where the line is, and I don't know that you can find the line. But I will say that one of the reasons I find doing the paranormal plots so interesting is because when you open up the cupboard to do the research, stuff comes tumbling out like you wouldn't believe, because the US government and Russia and other countries spent fortunes investigating the paranormal. As recently as the 1970s and 80s, they were still, and who says they've stopped? How would we know? But they were pouring your tax dollars at work, right? Into what we would say is, it's like, okay, but this is sort of a carnival act, you know? Really?
Wow.
But yeah, so there was a lot of money spent, and because of that, there's kind of lots of plot material out there.
And would your husband agree with you? Do you think being an engineer makes me think that maybe he would be a little less prone, perhaps, to?
Yeah. He's very engineering minded. It's a show me thing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know.
Is he a reader? Is he a reader?
Not fiction.
Okay.
Nonfiction. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so we have Deborah Pruss asking, how did you come up with the concept of enhancing the sixth sense?
Well, if I start out with the idea that everybody's got some version of intuition, and in my world, I've made that the vibe of a latent psychic talent that just hasn't surfaced for whatever reason. Maybe it hasn't. If you never had something elicit the talent, maybe you would never know you had it. Maybe it's something, I don't know. I just kind of went with that idea. So the psychic thing is, for me, just that one step beyond intuition, which I think most people can identify with on some level.
Yeah, you bet. So Tina Burns, kind of a follow-up question, were the different psychic abilities hard to come up with and work into the storyline?
No, because once you start down that line of reasoning, where does it stop? Your vision could have an enhanced vision, or your hearing could be enhanced, or, what the heck is hypnotism? I mean, really, where's the line there between some kind of psychic power and what? I mean, so there's enough real life stuff out there that's all borderline that we can't really explain. Look at charisma. Some people have it, others don't. And it's a magic power. I mean, let's face it. It makes the difference between successful actors and non-successful actors.
Yeah.
That's charisma. And that kind of energy is what those things are what I'm spinning off of.
Beef Followwell says, I love the plants. Did you do research about the different vegetation and what they could do?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you like the plants. I love killer gardens. One of the best tours I ever took in my life, one of the best garden tours I ever took in my life, was a garden nursery that cultivated carnivorous plants.
Wow.
And I love that. I've used that a couple of times in stories because.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yep. That's awesome. Susan Crichton says, did any characters undergo a significant change from your original idea, and why?
Yes, they always do, though. They start out almost like stick figures where I don't really know anything about them. And then I discover them as I go along. So every character I've ever written is whatever they were at the beginning was flat compared to where they ended up.
Yeah. I often will start out where I don't really know my characters that well. And as I get to know them, I can go a little deeper to their motivation and what's making them tick, what makes them unique.
I think what happens is we probably should start asking questions about them.
Yeah.
And our curiosity is, oh, this would be interesting. Or how did they get here? What are they doing in this story in the first place?
Right.
And then that leads to the questions that we ask. And then we have to go with characters that interest us. Otherwise, we're going to leave them behind in the dust.
Right. Gail Duncan McAllister said, this book series is so captivating. When will the third one be out?
I'm just finishing it now, and so it'll be out this time next year.
What's the name of it? Do we have a title?
Yes, Shattering Dawn.
Ooh, very good.
Yeah. And this is basically a trilogy, but each book stands alone because each book is an independent mystery, and it's the cast of characters that carry through. you'll
Right.
recognize them from one book to the next.
Oh yeah, everybody in the book group was like, "This is book 2. We have to go back and get book 1." So they'll be looking
Thank you.
forward.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
they'll be
You
looking
enjoy it.
forward to book 3. Tiffany RN wants to know: can you share insights into your creative process and how you approach writing? That's kind of a hard thing to do because I think it is kind of intuitive. I don't know. Do you have an answer for that?
Everybody I know, and you probably do too, if the writers, they say you just sit down and start writing. And I don't think of it as a process, essentially. It's more like chaos that you're trying to get together, I guess. I think it starts with questions, like I said earlier, and curiosity. And that's maybe where the idea comes from. It's something sparked a curiosity, or like you with the well drilling, you had that experience in your personal life, and
Right.
and it opened up a whole new world of what could go wrong, right? With
Right. Yeah.
property rights and everything else. And there's your story. I mean, just suddenly spilling out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I find too that if I look at maybe this is why I don't plot, but if I look at the story as a whole, it can seem very overwhelming to me because there are so many possibilities,
Yes.
kind of like a chess game, looking many, many moves down the way. So I kind of try and build it almost like a necklace, one bead at a time, where I can just focus on that bead and make that bead as beautiful and nice as I possibly can, and then string the next one on. So it just narrows it down a little bit for me, rather than make my brain explode trying to see.
That's a good way of describing what I do, because I also work that way, in that each scene is its own little story. It's like a little mini short story with a
Yeah.
beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's how I get through a book too. You're right. I'm not that dissimilar from the way I'm working too.
Yeah, it seems like we're similar on a lot of the way we approach writing, which is fun to talk to somebody who really gets it. Colette Hilliard has been a research scientist for 32 years. So she said she's very curious about how you do your research. Do you try and travel to places to get ideas? Do you do it all online?
Mostly online, especially when they're working with the psychic stuff. And a lot of my books are set in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I live. But research-wise, those are the old skills I learned back in library school.
Yeah.
Primary sources when you can get them. Make sure you know who's giving you the information, and what the source of the information is, and is it good or is it not good? And so I rely on my old library training for that.
Oh, good. Well, you do such a good job with it all. And then I just have a final question for you because we're running a little late. We want to, Catherine McGuire said, would you consider an island retreat cut off from technology scary or relaxing if you yourself had to go there?
Scary.
Yeah, we're so used to relying on it all. I don't even know if I could drive without my phone anymore. I mean, it just
I know.
where you need to go. I just listen to those prompts and off I go, and then I'm in my head plotting my book or whatever.
I remember trying to read maps when I was, much younger, just to get from one end of the country to the other. All those complicated maps that you had to.
Thomas Brothers, where you're turning. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we're excited that you're going to be in the Zoom after party with us in just a few minutes. So we're going to have our other guests now. We'll let you go get ready for that. And then we'll have Alicia, our artist, on for a few minutes. And then we'll see you in the Zoom after party.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It was our pleasure. Now we get to talk to Alicia from In Every Line. She has that Etsy store that we stumbled upon and was able to get the great artwork for our book tracker. We're so excited to get to know her a little bit better. So she, I think I showed it before, but let me show it again. This is the artwork that she did. Hi, Alicia. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
How did you get started in this?
So it's a funny story. I originally started out in graphic design in college, and I've always had a big passion for reading and drawing. So I wanted to bring in, both loves of those. And when I was very little, I would always say that I was going to design book covers one day.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I originally went to university for, and I majored in graphic design. And somehow, life has its way. I ended up being an art teacher and starting an art program at a dual language school. And then from there, I missed that aspect of the drawing part still. Teaching kids was a different part of it. And so then one day I just, started seeing things on Instagram, and I was like, I want to draw these stacks. And so I ended up just posting on Etsy, and, it's led me through various people and places.
Well, you're so talented. I love that at your Etsy store, you could go and give a list of books. So like a reader could go there and give you their stack of classics that they love, or stack of Brenda Novak novels, or Jayne Ann Krentz novels. And you can create something for them that then you send the digital file, and they can print it out and put it on their wall or on their bookshelves.
Yes. So I've had so many people from over the world too. I get people who send in requests of books in another language, and I'm just searching for these images. And but yeah, I originally had wanted to print it out and mail it to them, but I had a lot of people who were saying, I want to print it, here at this place near them, and I wanted to be able to hit globally. So I just ended up saying, well, I'll give you the file, and you do with it.
Do whatever size they want.
Yeah. And I've had people who have sent me, pictures like, oh, I put in my classroom, or I have this in our library at home and things. Some people like to go and put it like on a sticker or something. So it's been a lot of fun, and I definitely get to see so many different books I've never heard of. You are the first author, I will say, not had an author yet. So it's been awesome.
Well, I'll probably I have a book coming out in September called The Banned Books Club. And what I want to do for that is I want to start reading. I have a list I've picked out of banned books that I am just dying to read. Many of them I've read, I want to reread and remind myself why they were so valuable to me, why I thought they should not be banned, and why other people should be able to read them readily. And so I want to go through this list of books and read like one per week before that comes out. Before the Banned Books Club comes out. And so I think I'll come to you, and maybe as I grow my stack, once I get it finished, I'll have you do some kind of artwork of all the banned books that I read that we can use in coordination with the release of that book, maybe, or something fun. We'll come up with some angle where we can.
Oh yes, for sure. That would be a blast. I'm so passionate about banned books. So I actually am an English teacher now. So
perfect.
It hops around. But so
understand why, like I remember The Catcher in the Rye. I was in high school class, and this group of women came in, and they told the teacher that they did not want her to teach Catcher in the Rye. And I thought, I'm finally going to have an English teacher tell them why this is a good book, why students should read this book. And instead she just totally caved, and she's like, okay, she just crossed it off. And my jaw drops. Like, you're not going to even fight for it. Like, I loved that book when I was in high school, So I thought that was interesting. Do you face that at all?
So I'm in Georgia. So, Georgia is not as liberal, but I, believe that we should be able to read, what we want. And I teach third grade. My wife teaches fifth grade, but she teaches in German. And so our school is very diverse. Luckily, I'm blessed that our administration lets us read whatever we want to incorporate in our curriculum, given that it's appropriate, but we don't ban books. We did have a county nearby here, and they had a book banned, and the teacher actually got in big trouble, and it was this big scandal here in Georgia. But I'm so glad that, that doesn't happen. Matilda was banned in a Florida town. And that's a book that we read in third grade as like a class.
I love Matilda. Yeah. So I love that your love of art and your love of books have come together, and that you're able to make such cool things out of it, and that you're able to share your love of art and books with your students.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to say, I joined your Facebook group, and it's amazing. Like they all, everyone's so friendly, and they talk and they share all these books, and they share about their life. And I will, for your group, I'm going to give a promo code in case anyone wants to order, and it'll be 25% off for whatever they choose, and it will be Novak.
I love
I think
it.
that's a good promo code.
That's a good promo code. Before we say goodbye, why don't you tell us how you first ran across me? I ran across you on Etsy, but how did you first run across me? I like that story that you told me before.
Oh, yes. So I'm on Etsy, right? And I get this message from Alexa. And I keep seeing the name, and I'm like, this is super familiar. And she's asking for all these books, and I'm just like, I know this name. So Abby Jimenez, I love her writing. I'm really into like romantic comedies, romance. That's like my type of genre. And I remembered that I had seen her post about you, and I was like, I'm going to go back. So I didn't want to be like, hey, Alexa, and then her be like, oh, that's not my mom. So I went to Abby's Instagram, and I was like scrolling and scrolling because I was like, I know that I have seen her. It's a fact. I know this name. And then I found her there, that you had gone on like a signing tour with her or something.
Yeah. I stayed in her lake house, which was so cool. It was so fun to get to know her because I had not met her previous to that.
Awesome.
Tour.
And then I messaged Alexa, and I was like, are you affiliated by chance with like I was so in shock. I couldn't believe it.
Well, we thank you for doing the art and for joining us tonight, and for the promo code Be Novak. If anybody wants some cool book stack drawn, right where to go. I'm sure we'll post about that in book group too to remind everybody. And thank you for doing such a good job with this. We'll definitely be in touch with my banned books stack.
Oh yes, I can't wait. We have to come up with something
something
good.
Yeah. I'm stack. I think we'll come up with a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me so much.
You bet. Have a nice night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so that was fun. We got to talk to Jayne. We got to talk to Alicia, and now we're going to get to have our Zoom after party. Before we do that, I wanted to make just a few announcements, of course. The after parties are usually for subscribers. That's one of our perks, but we decided to invite everybody who had a January box. So hopefully you'll all be jumping over there with me soon. If you need any help or you need that link, just email store@brendanovak.com right away. And Alexa is behind the scenes here trying to make sure everybody can get in. You don't have to download Zoom. There's no cost. You just follow the link and go on it on your browser. We ran out of time for this question with Jayne, but I really wanted to answer it. Tracy Corley said, what is your favorite era in history? Well, I have to say the golden age of piracy is mine, and I plan on writing a 7-book historical series that going to Nicaragua actually helped me finalize where I want to place it. I wasn't sure of the setting. I was thinking maybe Jamaica, but when I went to Grenada, I thought, oh, this is it. So that's going to be cool. It's a special book group member's birthday tonight. Happy birthday to Bonnie Beckman. She has been with us from the beginning. She's had all the boxes, 7 years, just an incredible person and incredible support. And her husband took her out to lunch and shopping, but she said she was going to join us tonight, and we're going to send her a fun little birthday package to thank her for all her tremendous support and to help her have a happy birthday. And we'd like to give everybody a birthday shout out. Unfortunately, because of time, we can't do that, but watch for a post. We're going to start doing more with birthdays in the group. And tomorrow we're going to do a fun giveaway that'll be especially for you. So make sure you look for that. Also, Kissa Wynn Dawson has been going through a rough time. We feel bad and want to give her our love and our support. And in order to do that, Janet Roble, who is so good to everybody in the group, she bought 3 extra trackers, and she's going to let us give them away right now. So 1 tracker is going to be going to Kissa Dawson just to try and help her feel better. And we are going to choose.
Comment if you don't have one.
Yeah, comment if you don't have one. Alexa will choose the next 2 from Matt for me while I make our top 10 announcement. These are our top 10 contributors in the group. The reason why Facebook tracks them is because they're important. That's what helps to get content out to the others. Facebook doesn't show everything to everyone. They kind of curate your feed. So if you interact with it, you're much more likely to see more of it. So they really help us get information out. So thank you to Janet Roble, Juanita Ramirez, Christina Mages, Nancy Brady, Nicole Duvall, Jen Miller, Star Roybal, Doris Ortiz, Marie Christensen, and Sheila Golding. Your names will go into a hat. And at the end of the year, each time you make top 10, your name will go in the hat. And at the end of the year, we'll draw the names to win a year's worth of Brenda Novak book boxes, which 4 people will share. So they'll get 3 boxes each. Remember to record your January read. We are opening it another month. I said that earlier. And if you do it by March 15th, you'll be entered to win the $100 gift certificate to the Brenda Novak store that we give away once a month. And if you read all the books, and even if you don't get it, read them each month, but you catch up at the end, you get all of them read by January 15th, 2025, you'll be entered to win a dedication in one of my future novels. And I've been waiting for this part all night. I get to announce the winner of the 2023 dedication, and that is going to go to Sheila Chin. Congratulations, Sheila. I just dedicated the Banned Books Club to you, which comes out next September. I just turned it into my editor. I was super excited to write it for you. I hope you're going to love it. And I can't wait to write one for whoever wins for 2024. And then I wanted to remind everyone there's no limit. You can go back and earn your pins as long as you read the 12 books that are associated with the cute enamel pins that Alexa has designed. The pins are free. We just ask that you pay $5 shipping and handling so that we can get them sent to you if you're ordering past pins. If you are getting 2023 pin and it's before February boxes go out, let us know and we can drop that in there for free. And then there's no shipping charge there at all. That's a way that we can get them out for absolutely free. Thank you for joining us. We are going to play bingo. It's going to be our next time we get together. If you want to play and you don't have a card, we're going to use the same cards we had. But if you don't have a card, email store@brendanovak.com and Jennifer will make sure you get one. That's going to be on Tuesday, February 6th. We'll have Bingo Ted. He'll be doing the calling. We'll do some fun giveaways. I always love to do bingo with the group. And then, of course, our next meeting will be on Thursday, February 29th, when we interview Susan Elizabeth Phillips about her brand new book, Simply the Best. So see you. Don't forget that we have the Zoom party right after. So I will see you in a minute on there.